My name is Shawn Olsen with Utah State University Extension. Today's March 26th, 2015. I'm here in Logan at the USU Student Organic Farm. I wanted to talk to you about some climate tools that you can use to determine when to plant your vegetable garden. One of the local greenhouse growers that I work with has a little saying. He says, plant early, plant often. This is in reference to his customers that come in and buy tomato plants early, plant them, they get killed by frost, they come back and buy 2 or 3 more sets of tomato plants. Obviously this is good for the greenhouse business, but not for the grower. So Utah's climate and terrain varies quite a bit across the state. One of the tools that you can use to decide when to plant your vegetable garden is the date of the average last spring frost. This information for a lot of Utah can be found at climate.usu.edu. So it gives these last frost dates for many areas of the state. Now if we look at vegetables, they can be divided into 4 groups based on frost tolerance. Of course, these groups are not absolute. Plants don't read gardening books, and so you can adjust these a little bit. If we look at the first group of vegetables, so-called hardy vegetables, they can generally be planted around March 15th to April 1st when the soil first dries out. Some of these vegetables include onions. Peas are a favorite that people like to get in early. Spinach, broccoli, and cabbage. So hardy vegetables. The next group of vegetables are called semi-hardy. They include things like potatoes, beets, carrots, lettuce, and Swiss chard. These vegetables are usually planted a couple of weeks after the hardy vegetables. So in many areas of Utah, this is about April 1st to the 15th. Now both of these groups of vegetables are called cool season vegetables because they'll grow when the weather is a little bit cooler. Another tool that you can use to help decide when to plant is a soil thermometer like I'm holding right here. The way that you use this is go out in the morning, put it down into the ground 3 or 4 inches, take the temperature. For these cool season crops, the soil should be around 35 to 40 degrees and they'll do just fine. Now the next set of crops are so-called warm season crops, and it includes things like cucumber, beans, squash, and of course everyone's favorite, corn. These vegetables are usually planted around the time of the average last spring frost. That often coincides with the day when the first apples are in bloom, and so they can be planted around that time. Now the 4th group is the very tender crops of vegetables. It includes cantaloupe, peppers, watermelon, winter squash. I've got a few tomato plants here. So these are generally planted around May 20th to June 10th. Now if you live in a high mountain valley where there's a really short growing season, with these tender crops, they can be planted with some protection like this hot cap, or you can use tubes of water or a row cover just in case a frost shows up. Now if you're in the St. George area, the cool season crops can be planted around the end of February and the warm season crops around April 1st, and they should do fine. Now these dates that I've talked about are for the initial planting. With almost all of these crops, you can do another planting a couple of weeks later and have a succession of crops coming on, and they'll do just fine. If you have a little extra room, another thing you can do around the 1st of July to the 1st of August, you can plant beets, carrots, spinach, and a lot of other crops, and they will come on for a fall harvest. If you're interested in a more detailed listing of these different crop groupings, you can go to extension.usu.edu publications and you will find it there. Also, on the USU Extension YouTube channel, there are many different videos with very specific instructions on how to plant many of these different crops. So remember, the most important thing is know your average last frost date and plant accordingly. Happy gardening. Thank you.